Hillbilly Harrison League. Punt Billy, kick Billy, pass Billy, hit Billy, Hillbilly Harrison League. Hillbilly Harrison League podcast.
Dave, welcome to the podcast. Can you believe
We're back.
We're back. It's we're in week 2 and we're already making adjustments. We're recording this a day early.
Yep.
That's a bad
Somebody,
time.
one of us has to work tomorrow evening.
Yeah.
Big job at night. So sorry about that, but
Hey, it's good.
And
It just means we have less content hey, so let's put fantasy for us aside. All right. I'm breaking this out. I didn't have it last week. I'm breaking this out. This is to try to bring some positive energy to our Cincinnati Bengals. So
yeah,
all right.
there you go.
But to long snappers and
Before we go too far, do you think this angle okay for Brennan? Is he going to be able to watch? Hate to bother the guy. With my
yeah, I mean,
my
here's
stupid
the thing.
phone last week.
Brennan, if you're really worried about it, Dave lives in Harrison. We record about 10 p.m. at night. You can come down and produce the show.
I am trying to get some positive vibes going, so I broke out the
Fantasy football legend
shirt. It's been a
All
while
right,
since I
well,
put it on.
Man, what a week 1. I think Rennie was talking about it in the comments. I mean, for all intents and purposes, all of our games were done by Sunday night.
Yeah.
And I believe I'd have to go back and look. I think I'm right on this. Double-digit losers, triple-digit winners. Is that right? Everybody who won was in the hundreds. Everybody who lost was under 100.
I don't remember that because I was one of the.
Yeah, I'm pretty
that
sure.
does, yeah. I think you're right.
Yeah, everybody who won was over 100. Everybody who lost was under 100. So it's like,
sort of a benchmark there, sort
Yeah.
of a dividing line, if you will.
Yeah. So that was just and man, there's a ton to dig into. We got some new content we're going to talk about, but we'll stay with like our tried and true stuff. Dave, what do you got? Week 1, Miller Time Team of the Week.
So, I don't always pick the high point winner, but I got to go with Brian because not only was he high point winner, but if you look at his bench, he could have picked any of those guys, just about any combination. Strong bench, strong starters across the board. Came back with, Russell Wilson didn't have the greatest of Monday nights, but he got enough to pass. That was like the only drama left on Monday night was whether or not, Brian was going to pass Adam, and he passed him, not by a ton, but it wasn't a Herculean effort by Russell Wilson. But I got to give it to Brian. He came out of the gate, got the guy he wanted, and Jamar Chase, at number 2, which was, by a lot of, we talked about this, before. I don't think it was, crazy. It was a lot of drafts that I saw. Chase was going really high, but I don't know that everybody in our league expected that, but he got the guy he wanted, and it worked out. And good job, Brian. First week 1, none of those points got erased overnight, and he kept his win, kept his high points. So good job, Brian.
Yeah. So with that in mind, for our Hillbilly of the Week, and just to catch everybody up, Miller Time Team of the Week, that's in honor of the great Dave Miller being a fantasy guru. We give everybody a Miller, and it just sounds good because we like Miller Lite.
We'll go with that, the latter, not so much the former.
But then our league is called Hillbilly because that's what we all are, a bunch of hillbillies. And at any given time, we got an Ed or a Danny or a Kevin that just does some bonehead thing that it's like, man, why'd you do that? You left that guy on your bench, or you didn't fill out your lineup, or you dropped a guy that you should have kept. Like we got those things, so we just made an award for it. It's called the Hillbilly of the Week, and again, like I hate to I hate to like fall into these patterns because it's not based on who scores the most or who
No.
scores the least. You know, that's not necessarily it. But it's going to go to Travis this week, Hillbilly of the Week, and really, none of it's his fault. You know what I mean? He didn't go out there trying to be the hillbilly, but man, losing, scoring the least amount of points, losing your star quarterback, and then having other guys on your bench too. Like he doesn't even have a backup quarterback. He's got guys that are also, you know, questionable for next week. It's like, man, that's a rough way to start. And Travis likes to talk a lot. You know what I mean? So I don't even know that a flex spot would have helped Travis in week one get past some of the hurdles that he had in front of him. So and you mentioned it. You know what I mean? His running backs don't do as well. It's like, you know, it's not a great first showing for Travis. Now I do think he'll have a chance to bounce back from this. Dependent, if you were going to lose somebody, the people that are out there to get, there's probably the opportunity to pick up a quarterback that is startable.
Yeah.
Like if you lost a starting running back or a starting wide receiver and you didn't have a good backup plan on your, like, that'd be tougher to go out and just find a starter.
Yeah.
You know,
most
that
of the
you're not gonna-
starters are probably on somebody's bench.
Yeah,
on the
and
roster.
yeah, or you'd have to use, you know, you're gonna have to fight guys for waiver spots for them. You know, I don't know that there's I don't know that there's a lot of guys going out there looking for quarterbacks other than maybe to block Travis. But
I don't know if you noticed I mean, there's usually not a lot of transactions, you know, prior to week one, because
Yeah.
we've been drafting like 2 days before
Right.
for one, or, you know, before the first Thursday game. So we haven't left ourselves with a ton of time. But generally you pick who you want, you know.
Yeah.
But Travis was kind of busy. He
we had
on
to pick
Friday,
up a kicker.
He picked up a kicker, but he also picked up Tua, and dropped Tua again and picked up a running back. So that did
You
nothing.
think he wishes he had Tua on his bench now?
Well, I mean, Tua was,
Yeah.
Miami did great. He only had 16, I think. So it wasn't, I mean, you could do better than that, but
Yeah, I mean, don't you believe there's plenty of startable quarterbacks that are left on the waivers right now?
yeah, I meant to look. I didn't get a chance, but I guess I could do it you know, you could look and see, you know, the best quarterbacks available. There's probably some guys like Wentz got over 20, like guys that get over 20. It's like, that's serviceable,
Well,
you know?
yeah, so Tua's projected. I'm sorry. This is all off of this coming week. So Jones, Tua, and Wentz are all, you know, looking to do well. Matt Ryan's available.
Yeah. So
Goff's available.
Wentz
so,
scored 37. You know,
yeah.
that would have looked good on a lot of, you know, but who
Yeah.
would have thought? You know, Wentz was
Correct.
he went to Washington for a reason.
Yeah. So yeah, Washington. He does well in Washington, and Matt Ryan at Indy, that did not go so good. So
Yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
you just never. So yeah, any of these guys that are available that he'll probably grab. You know, Winston, Tannehill, Smith, Mayfield, they all scored in the 20s, which is, you know, serviceable.
So let's go through. So we had some. So we had Ed over Danny. What'd you think about Ed's week one showing?
I mean, his roster is a little unorthodox, but and a couple of his hits, you know, like he drafted that McKenzie guy and started him, you know, out of draft position kind of, and he scored a
Right.
touchdown. Didn't do, you know, a quick touchdown. Everybody thought he was a genius.
Yeah.
I mean, his defense obviously you're not going to get close to 20 points out of your defense all the time, so you can't really count on that.
Yeah. I guess if you're going to pick your defense early, you better hope they score 19 points, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just the opposite for Danny. You know, it's like Danny just had too many guys score under 10 points. I think he had a great defensive showing. Brady Brady has those kind of games though.
Yeah. I think they
So,
just seemed like they were really committed to the run, and they didn't need to. They weren't trying to catch up.
yeah, and that
You know.
Chargers Raiders game was really weird too. You got to think that Eckler's going to have bigger games than that.
Yeah.
So, and but a typical Danny start.
Ouch.
Then you got Rennie versus Ratty, Joe Burrow versus Aaron Rodgers. What a I mean that actually ended up being way closer than it looked like Josh was going to run away with it, and Rennie had a little comeback with Jared Judy, but if
Too little, too late.
if Rodgers shows up and just has anything,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
much closer.
But if you watch that, I mean, he was a little visually annoyed, is to put it nicely, at his receivers.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which doesn't bode well.
The rookie that I have on my bench dropped a touchdown like in the
Yeah. And I have another rookie on the bench, and he was so, but they were, arguing on the sideline about who was supposed to do what. It wasn't a good look.
yeah. So, but strong start for Josh. Really consistent, other than Pitts, and maybe Mitchell. I mean, he had good showings from almost everybody. I think Thielen will be better. So
maybe remember what you just said there when we talk about our rankings.
yeah, well, we will. So yeah, but and then we had Brian, Heimtime Industries versus Sundance. You gave Brian, right?
Yeah.
Team
Tough
of the week.
loss for Brennan. I mean, he would have beat a lot of us.
Yeah.
With 92,
But man, what an outing for Saquon.
Yeah, I mean, granted, the overreaction of week one, who knows?
Yeah.
But he's done. It's not like he's a flash in the pan. He has a history of being good. He just has a more recent history of being injury prone and not so good. And the Giants were bad, So now maybe they're a little better. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, if they commit it to him, and he may not do that every week, but you got to think that if you pick him as not your first running back, and he might score and give you an 80 every week, that's pretty good running back too.
Yeah. Adam doing Adam things already.
Yeah, I mean, what did we say about, like, was it last year or what? I mean, even when Danny had Mahomes, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, it was like Mahomes and just about anybody that can fall forward gives you a chance. And when he goes out and does 40, it's like you throw a few guys in there with some 10s and you're well over 100 easily. So,
yeah,
and I don't know that Mahomes does that. I mean, who knows? I mean, he made it look so easy. He was throwing it to 500 different receivers.
Did it not look like he had 3 new Tyreek Hills on the team?
Yeah,
they're all just the same size as Tyreek. They just look just like him. Yeah,
yeah.
Like, didn't miss a beat.
Yeah.
So and Lee struggled out the gate. He had a couple good scores, but just way too many lows on his team. So
banking on a lot of
rookie running backs.
Running back is, I mean, who knows? Maybe they catch fire, but it might take a few weeks, and it might be too late at that point. But who knows?
Yep. Let's see. You played off all weekend. How'd you do?
I did not beat him.
No,
did not beat that team that is called that.
He had a 0 spot from a wide receiver. How are you gonna?
Yeah, he got 107 with a 0.
Yeah.
And I got 74 with no zeros, but some close to it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to, concentrate on the positives with, came out with no injuries. Lamar got all his points without running, and that's not always going to happen. And I lost Higgins early, which probably stung a little bit, but that would have probably only given me at most 8 more points, maybe. I don't know.
How long is he going to be in the protocol? Have they said?
I haven't seen any updates yet, so I don't know.
Yeah. But Yeah. So I mean, you had Lamar, great.
But I'm
Uh,
dying to have a reason to start that Washington receiver. So, but
yeah,
I probably won't do it over Higgins if he's healthy. So I'm
yeah.
not that brave.
But you got two. Robinson played well too. So
Yeah, I feel like any of those running back twos, it's just picking the right one. That kind of is
yeah,
tough. But
yeah. And so we'll come back to that a little bit, just about your
I was a little disappointed in Lockett. He doesn't look
yeah,
like he's going to be the go-to guy in Seattle.
yeah.
But I
And
might
then
not stick. He might not stick around.
yeah. And then I played Travis. How'd I do?
Let me see what was the score.
Oh,
I know it
man.
was close. It was like a
Yeah.
nail biter.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Hey,
you squeaked by. You
yeah.
did. Yeah.
So
Huh.
do you
A
do you
win.
think
What's it
this
feel like?
it feels amazing. It feels so good. And I'll probably spend the entire season letting I hope it continues, because I like this, and I think the podcast would be better with me.
See, I feel like it's your job or maybe your nature to overinflate, everything
So like
good
when
about
I'm doing
everything.
bad,
And if you give me a chance at some point on this podcast, I'll tell you why you're wrong.
okay, all right. Well, so I know maybe some double talk will happen. If everybody's listening, they're going to stick in. So Dave and I decided to put together a power ranking. So I'm going to pull it up here, but we don't have a consensus. So we can kind of talk about that a little bit.
We didn't agree.
We didn't agree. So
We
Dave
agreed
and
on the
I
top
will,
two
yeah, Dave and I will get together
and the bottom
and
two.
we'll combine these, and we'll publish one on the chat. Probably by Thursday morning. But we'll kind of talk through like our voting of how we did. So we both agreed Brian is not only did he score the most points, but just like if you're projecting out, like, man, he looks like that it wasn't a fluke. He could do that again, right? It's like
Yeah.
and he's earned the number one spot. So he did great, and I think, even as I was like looking at it for the two spot, as much as we both hate him, Adam has kind of earned, like, if he scores 120 points, he earned, like, there's nothing in his history that makes me think he's going to fall off the planet.
Yeah.
Like,
But other than his defense, he picked his optimal lineup. I mean, whereas Brian
yeah,
he could have picked several different ones and still had the same outcome where,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Adam's
Adam
bench,
got the
and
most
that's
out of
why I have
everybody who
him,
started.
at 1-2, but and then you can
Yeah,
flip a coin there. They both got in the
yeah.
120s, but
Now
just based on overreacting to week one, Brian's
Yeah.
overall team top to bottom with bench seems a bit stronger.
Yeah. Now here's where we differ, and I'll say the thing that I've noticed about our rankings is that our egos probably are in the way a little bit. You have yourself valued higher, and I have myself valued higher than opposite. So
That's fair. If
yeah.
everybody wanted to do their own, it would probably be.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I have myself at third, and I scored the third amount of points. But again, I felt like that my guys did good. Obviously Jefferson's probably not going to score 30 a week, but
Factored in.
factored in. But there was also guys like my kicker's probably not going to score one a week, and there's some other things going on. I've got some bench guys that could come in and fill in for anybody that need be. But so you've got, I had myself at third. You have Josh at 3, and while Josh had a decent showing, Josh, like, I don't think is sustained for immediate success. He's got guys that are going on IR. He's got guys that are going to be questionable. He's got just a lot of question marks moving forward. And so while he put together a decent week one showing, I don't think that he is. I didn't see anything that makes me think that he's like, oh, the third best team.
I have him
now
3.
I will let you give your argument.
Okay. Not because of what he did, but based on, what it looks like, for moving forward. And yeah, he took a hit with Mitchell, but I feel like there's not going to be much of a drop off based on the way the Eagles use Sanders. Might even benefit him. He came out of the Najee Harris will not have, he'll score more than 8. So like I feel like he got his one.
But what if Najee missed? You don't think Najee misses any time at all? I know they said that
No,
his foot
no,
was
he's back.
negative, but
No, they said he's not. He'll be playing. That's what I heard.
so he's just a big crybaby because he looked like he was dying on
Yeah,
the side.
no, he's back. But I feel like Burrow scored just about as much as your quarterback with 5 turnovers. So I feel like with a bad game, Burrow and missing a receiver, like your quarterback missed a receiver part of the game. I feel like Burrow, like that's his floor. Is 26. It seems like based on the way the game went, and I feel like teams are gonna have to move and double, triple over off Jefferson, which is gonna put Thielen open.
Don't
So
you
I
think
feel
they
like,
knew that going into that week?
well, but they didn't do it. So I feel like Thielen's going to get some more looks, moving forward, and I feel like Pitts is going to get his. So I just felt like Josh has spots that, he scored he won and he scored pretty well, but he had like four to five spots that underperformed. So and whereas on your team, I had you at 4. It wasn't like I had you way down. I just felt like you had several spots that were kind of maxed out at what they probably would do, and you would need that repeated, to get back to where you were. So
Agree to disagree. Herbert not getting 30 is a travesty. He could have easily scored 30. I think that Jefferson won't get 30 a game. He won't need to, but I think that Tyreek's going to score more. I think Juju's going to score more. I think that all those other things like Folk, like he's not going to have.
I feel like your running backs that's about their max.
You think?
The way those offenses are with their, Arizona runs more than they do pass.
Here's what I'll say. With the wide receivers I have, if those running backs get 12 to 14 points a game, I'll be completely happy.
I mean, I think Juju could if there wasn't 7 Tyreek Hill clones running around in Kansas City that are going to take his bombs away from him.
It looks like he throws it enough, though.
Well, I don't know. I mean, he'll get a touchdown here and there, but he's a different wide receiver 1 than Jefferson, Adams, Chase, where they're just feeding him, because Mahomes isn't going to do that. At least it doesn't look like he's going to.
So, all right. So next, so we have myself, and actually I have Ed 4th because I think that Ed's got a pretty decent team. You have Ed all the way down at 7th. So you think that Ed just caught lightning in a bottle week 1? What's going on?
Let me look at that. I felt like it was like that deep, like a big part of his score was the defense. So you take away, 9 points there and get a normal defensive score. And I don't know anything about that tight end. He has no history. McKenzie isn't 1 or 2. He may not get a touchdown. Cooks, I think Kupp will always get his. I think, running back, the Jacksonville is going to at least seems like Robinson's going to get it more than at least for the next few weeks. I don't know. I just felt like he won and he did way better than me. So he's I don't know. I have him down farther because I don't see as much potential as the people I put ahead of him.
Yeah. So, we have some disparity here. So coming up next in mine, so I've got Brian, Adam, Kevin, Ed, Josh. You've got Brian, Adam, Josh, Kevin, Brennan. So you got Brennan a little bit higher than I do. I had Ed a little bit higher than you do. So tell me what'd you see in Brennan's lineup that you liked?
Well, I felt like his loss wasn't like drastic. I mean, he scored 92 and he could have easily scored as much as what, I had the people I have below him, Junior and Ed, that also won. I just felt like, Taylor.
Yep.
He's just got it. I felt like his team's a little stronger.
And if I read this right, you're thinking that Brennan's team possibly more sustainable than Ed's team.
Yeah,
Well,
like
we'll see. Like, this is overreaction week one.
yeah,
Like,
of course.
all of us, right? It's like,
But I'm just, I'm looking at this
Yeah.
lineup and I'm like, Wilson is only going to, I mean, he's going to score more than 19 most of the time. Taylor at 23, you're probably, that's pretty max. Fournette just looked like they were going to feed him, especially if they get down to the end zone. Evans is healthier than Godwin. Arizona's going to have to pass and Brad, I don't know. I mean, I don't know about Moon. Like the rest of the bottom of the lineup there was a little lax, but his bench was very strong. I think Michael Thomas finds his way in the lineup. He probably didn't know about his health, so he didn't have him starting. So I bet he's in the lineup more sooner than later. Kareem Hunt is, I top to bottom, I just felt like Brennan's got a lot of options and they're a little more solid than what some of the other, maybe Junior and Ed's teams were.
Yeah. All right. So now we've got the next disparity we got is that basically now we're getting to the nitty gritty, like who's going to make it in, like the top 8 in, bottom 4 out, already week 1, already thinking playoffs, right? Got to keep in that top 8. I've got Rennie in, you've got him out, you've got yourself in. So, when I was looking at Rennie's team, obviously, I just think that Rodgers is going to do way better than he did. I think that Henry's and Elliott both have a chance to do better. Now, we don't know about Elliott, like he just hasn't shown it in the weeks, but they're going to have to rely heavily on a run game, whether he can produce that or not, or they got to go somewhere else. I think Keenan Allen, if he's healthy, is going to be better. But obviously, you feel a certain way about your team. You drafted them, but after a rough week 1 loss and having some guys that are questionable for week 2, what's your projection? Like, you still feel pretty good about yourself?
Oh, I don't have a good reason. I just,
Okay.
I'm giving myself another week to possibly stay in the playoffs.
Okay. Well, but you've got guys who in week 1 scored on your bench that you got to feel good about, right?
Yeah.
Robinson and Dotson, you got to feel good about those guys. And so if Higgins can't go, at least you feel like you've got somebody who's already produced that has a chance of doing something.
Yeah. And I mean, I think at least week 2, I'm going to benefit from Williams getting more looks because Allen's going to be out. I'm going to benefit from, I assume that, I mean, Bateman scored a long touchdown, but that DuVernay guy kind of took away a couple touchdowns. And I'm kind of hoping that they go towards Bateman a little more. Waller, It was like the same thing that happened last year. Is he disappears in the first half and then they start throwing it to him in the second half. I think he got all 70 of his yards in the second half.
but wasn't that just Vegas in total? Didn't they have like 60 total yards in the first half and then like 200 and something in the second half? It was like night and day.
Yeah.
I don't know what the Chargers deal was in that game. It was like they just kind of stopped playing there.
And I think Baker Mayfield is moving the ball with Carolina, and that's only going to benefit McCaffrey. He didn't, and again, game script or whatever, like he had almost no touches in the first half, and I'm not real sure what, I don't think that's going to be so I feel like, I mean, I guess I just feel like a lot of guys underperformed and several of them could have blow up games that would get me over 100 and I'll be right back in the thick of things.
Yeah. So we've got,
do I say I'm way, way, way better than any of the bottom 4? No.
Yeah. So, and here's what we know. If your name is Danny, Lee, Travis, Junior, even or Junior 1. Oh, what? Hey, Junior 1?
Yeah. He's up there. I have him all the way at 6.
Yeah. I'm just kidding. No, I'm just so used to including him in like the bottom 4. So it just came out of habit. No, if your name is Danny or Lee or Travis, man, this is the week. Like, it doesn't matter. Like,
and they all have some work to do.
Let me tell you from experience.
Okay.
You do not want to score very minimal points and go 0-2.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a deep hole to dig out of. I know it's a long season. We got 14 weeks, and there's been teams that just come out of nowhere, rattle off like 7 straight wins, and then they're in or something. But like, you don't want to be sitting at the bottom 0-2 with the least amount of points,
No.
knowing that you got to get 3 wins before you even start like making real headway. You know what I mean? So this is a big week, and especially it's just harder for, Travis, Lee, and yourself, just being there at the bottom with the least amount of points. Like, we know there will be a team left out of the playoffs, not because of wins and losses, but because they don't have enough points to pass the team in front of them. You know what I mean? I mean, it almost happens every season, and there's so much parity. Like, there'll be so many, 7 and 8 teams or whatever it is. Or that's not even the right math. Whatever it was, what is
used
it?
to be.
Yeah.
Now it's 14, 7 to 7.
So there'll be so many 7 and 7 teams. It used to be 7 and 6, and now it's 7 and 7. So there'll be so many like teams with the same record, and it's all about point differentials. So this is a big week for teams. It's way early because we're recording this early, but we've got just real quick. We can look at the week 2 matchups. Really kind of looking. We've got Rennie versus, and it's always interesting how this works. We got Rennie versus Danny. So one of those winless teams gets a win.
Yeah.
Right. So then that just digs a deeper hole for one of them that loses. So between Rennie and Danny, somebody's going to win, and that'll be interesting. Interesting just because of how that, where that is. We've got Brennan versus Ed. Now that's a Ed win versus a Brennan who's lost. So that's a 1-0 versus an 0-1 team. But like you said, Brennan would have beat a lot of teams. And so obviously Ed scored plenty. He scored over 100.
I think if you're Ed, you want to face me, Lee, Danny, or Travis.
You don't want to face the best performing team that lost. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So and like you said, Brendan's got plenty of room for improvement on his, and we'll find out. Did Ed like, did he peak out on his team, or is there more to come? Now here, Joe Burr versus Welcome to the Red Kingdom. Adam versus Rademacher. And man, to think that both teams started off so well. And now one of them's going to have a loss. So, that's no fun for either one of those teams. Both of them projected right now to score 100, but that doesn't mean anything. It's so early. So we've got a winning team, Brian versus Dave, who's got a loss. Doesn't get any easier for you.
I know. You don't want to face the high point winner of the week before, or you can look at it like he's due for a regression.
But you just talked him up as being the number 1 power ranking team.
I'm not sure where that regression is going to come from, but it's going to be tough. I'll probably, I got more cut out for me there.
Yeah. All right. And so now we got 2 more teams that both lost week 1. We got Travis versus Lee. And so, man, that'll be interesting. Both of them.
I think they're both licking their chops like, hey, this is my ticket out of the cellar.
Exactly. Get out of the cellar. They both got some considerations to make in their lineups. But man, that'll Travis obviously has got to find a quarterback. So and then,
I don't know if I doubt if Lee pulls it's Travis. I doubt. And Lee. I doubt if Lee pulls the trigger and like bench. I would think it's too early to like give up on any of those rookie running backs. But I don't know who else is going to be available that would have any more potential. You got to roll with who you got weeks 1 and 2.
Well, I don't. Is Burkhead on somebody's team?
Yeah, but was that? I mean,
Well, they said they're going to keep feeding him because he's so good at catching the ball out of the backfield.
yeah,
We'll see.
don't know.
Is he on somebody's team or is he's
no,
available?
no, he's not on. He's on the bench, or nobody
Yeah.
drafted him. So
Right. What about the kid, the guy for the Jets that got the lion's share of the carries there? Is that guy on somebody's roster? The backup?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so both of those guys that kind of, but again, now you're just
Because they
you're
thought it would be Carter, right? And
no, they thought it would be Hall.
oh, Brees Hall. So Carter is on somebody's team. He was on
Yeah.
somebody's bench.
Yeah. So who knows? And then I get a chance to beat
Yeah, the team.
off all weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice pause.
Yeah. I'll tell
Which,
you this.
you know,
we
I mean,
were
that's like-
we were teasing about Junior's team, he won or whatever. Like, I don't even know if we mentioned him in the power rankings. He's obviously ranked he's in like the top 5 or 6 in both of our things.
Yeah, all I was going to say about him.
Nobody wants to face Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty top heavy with quarterback and running backs. The receivers are a little dicey, but if you have those, if you get enough points out of Allen and 2 running backs, then you're.
He's hoping that he's got Lazard back in the lineup. So,
but I mean, I don't have right now a lot of confidence in. I mean, looking at Rodgers, he wasn't happy with any of those guys, and I don't know that Lazard's going to change things. I mean, I feel like there's a reason why he wasn't a star before.
Well, you know who makes a lot of mediocre wide receivers look really good? Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like
and that's where
a lot of guys are open when Devontae Adams on the field.
Just about every defense has a guy that they consider their best corner, and that's probably who's going to go on Lazard, and so temper your expectations. Maybe.
Well, I think they probably figure those rookies are guarding themselves. Like,
yeah, and I just don't see. I don't see Rodgers just moving from what he used to do with Adams and force feed, and then I think he's going to do more Mahomes style and just throw it to 500 different people.
Yeah, and so I feel pretty good about my team. I think Adam had said it early on when he kind of did the draft recap, and I agree with him. I mean, the running backs that I selected last week to play, Dylan and Connor, that worked out for me. But in any given week, if Dobbins ends up playing, it could be Dobbins and Edmonds that outscore those guys. Like,
yeah,
if I'm living point by point, and every point matters in a match, like this week it didn't. So
yeah.
But if I'm living and dying on every decision, then I'll probably end up having a loss at some point in time because I picked the wrong running back.
I mean, Dylan looked good, but there's always that chance that Aaron Jones will get the lion's share, for whatever reason.
You never know with that. And that's so finicky. Like, that could change. Like, they have a game plan, I'm sure, but like if they hand the ball, if a guy looks good or if a guy gets a +1 off, like, sometimes it doesn't even matter how many carries somebody gets. Somebody breaks off a 40-yarder for a touchdown. That's more points than somebody who grinds it out all day.
Yeah. That kind of reminds me of Cleveland. Like, that was always Chubb would grind out 150 yards and then they'd bring in Hunt and he'd bust through the line for a 60-yard score.
Yeah. So, but so I mean that it's fun. We're only in week 2. I'll tell you, it's a lot more fun doing the podcast, starting the season off with a W.
Yeah,
I know. So it was pretty miserable. I feel pretty good about my team. I do not like playing junior week 2 with
John. Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah,
especially at least you don't have to play, like, watch him play on a Thursday and be 40 points behind for 2 or 3 days with nothing you can do about it, and then never catch up.
Yeah.
Actually, I did. Like, it's so when you're watching and you're seeing the projections after every little score and overreacting to them. like even Junior got on. He was like, "Well, Miller just won," because like that
Yeah.
bomb to my receiver, but then all it takes is a couple more scores on the other team, and then some guys that are projected, and then don't do anything on the later games. And there I was. I went from like a sure win to spiraling down to a sure loss. So it's brutal watching those lines. So
Yeah.
you did want to touch on ESPN's algorithm, right?
Yeah. So let me bring this up. I don't know how many of you guys, and by you guys I mean the 4 of you that are listening. I don't know how many of you go
Is this
on
like
and
Romper
check
Room?
out.
I see
Yeah.
Rennie and
Yeah.
Junior and Adam.
So
That's it.
yeah. So ESPN has this final standings prediction, and I don't know if I took a screenshot of it at the beginning of the season, but like it tells you where you started, right? So like, and I think we went through it week 1. We kind of just like read the list of where everybody was. It had Junior, Rennie, Brennan, me, Adam, Danny, Brian, Rademacher, Ed, you, Lee, and Travis. So it's pretty smart algorithm when it started.
Yeah.
That sounds a lot like our power rankings, but just saying. But then after week 1, it's made some changes. And here's where it just kind of loses me. And I think it's funny, especially because I know that there's people like Adam who go on and look at this. And, Adam's a guy of science. He's a guy that tracks all the stats, and he wants to know the why. And so after a week 1 where we've got him ranked as the number 2 power ranked
Yeah.
team, he did great, only barely losing to Brian because of some last minute heroics by
So obviously he went up, right?
so obviously he went from the 5th spot down to the 7th spot. I can't make that stuff up.
Oh man.
And-
What are
and-
they
and-
seeing? What do they see in his team that they think that based on his performance, things are going to get worse?
Well, and so I went from 4th to 1st.
Yeah.
And again, I like my team. I'm happy with my team. But you laid out a great argument,
Yeah.
and we can agree of why you think that, like, hey, maybe let's pump the brakes a little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You're good. I got you at 4th. I have myself at 3rd, but I didn't put myself up at 1st.
Yeah.
I didn't say, oh, I saw enough that, and so it's just really funny that of how this.
Yeah. See, I'm only one off of what ESPN says. I put myself at 8, and they say I'm going to be finishing 9th. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty close.
Yeah. 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 They have exactly where I have you.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
That's true.
But no, so like, Brennan lost, went from 3rd to 2nd, you know what I mean? So just like some of that stuff.
So how does Rennie not fall more than 2 spots?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how. Time, our number 1 pick team,
Yeah.
started at 7th. You would think after that blowout win that he would jump up to 2nd or 3rd place, maybe 1st place. No, he goes from 7th to 8th.
So do they think that like those were flukes? Is that I don't get it.
I don't know. Maybe they're playing we're all playing checkers, and ESPN's algorithms are playing chess. So we will look and see how here's what I'm gonna do, because this week is so just like funny. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this, and we'll revisit this in a few weeks and see.
Is my screen not long enough to like? I don't see like anything for Lee and Travis
Hold
at the
on.
bottom. Like I don't see any
Creative
circles.
photos.
Is it just my app? Like below me?
Below you, yeah.
Yeah,
show me your TDs and vote. They're just 11 and 12. They didn't move.
Oh, it's way over because I can't see it on my screen.
I don't know. Can you? That's what mine looks like.
Oh, yeah, they're not showing up on. Oh, okay. Now I see it.
You found them?
I had moved my screen, I guess. So yeah,
No.
so they're
Were you
which
looking at it on your laptop or your phone?
no, just on a phone.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's so what it means when that means there's no change if it's a
Gray
dark.
is no change. Yeah.
Travis was 12 and they nailed
Staying
it.
there. I mean, now that I understand, right?
But they didn't know Dak was going to get hurt and
They did.
oh, I have seen some things about, NFL being rigged and all this stuff and reasons for it. Maybe we can get into that on another podcast, like calls that were made because they want certain teams to win. And
yeah. Like, is it like the BW3's commercial where they call in overtime because the guys don't want to leave?
Like there was a magnet on the football that made the Steeler hit the goalpost, but then somehow they still ended up winning.
Gosh. McMoney just needs to. He needs
I mean,
to. He
it's
needs
not
to
him,
boot.
right? Like,
Oh, it's
how
a
do you
long
screw
snapper.
up-
Yeah, but come on. You
What
gotta
happened to the
overcome
long
that.
snapper
Tore
from
his-
last year?
He tore his bicep in the first quarter.
Okay.
After
That's
after McPherson hits a 59-yard field goal.
So what are they doing this week? Like
They
the new
brought a
guys.
guy-
How many
they brought a guy up
snaps
from the-
has he done already?
they brought up a real long snapper from the practice squad.
Okay.
The guy that was long snapping was like a high school long snapper that was a backup tight end.
Yeah, you got to fix that. Like he's your bread. I mean,
but you understand why you only have one of those guys. Like that's all he does. They don't have like with a 52-man roster, you can't just have a dude sitting on the bench that what's your job? Well, if the long snapper gets hurt, then I got to go in.
Because you don't want the last thing you want is to have something going on in McPherson's head about the ball might not be where I want it to be. And I mean, because
if this week doesn't go well for him, like if he gets like a 10 cup case of the shanks,
the yips or whatever. Yeah. Did you see the Colts? They bespectacled superstar kicker.
Yeah, gone.
Missed a field goal and now he's gone. Like, it's a tough business, man.
It is. Yes. Yeah. Well, that's the thing about Buffalo, the punt god, right? Quickly realized that, hey, bro, you're a punter. You're not worth all this mess.
Yeah.
Like, Deshaun Watson, we'll deal with it.
Say last Sunday, you get up and stinker of a sermon. Are you out? I mean, that's pretty,
You were there 3 weeks ago. I'm still,
like I said,
I'm still employed.
Yeah. So, I mean, not every business has a reaction like that, but I guess they're not all getting paid that much money. So I don't know.
Well, it's kind of like what they said in the game last night. So they have a yardage marker, and the kicker or the special teams coach tells the coach, "We're good if you hit this marker."
Yeah.
And so that was the marker. They were on it, and they have to decide are we going to let Russell cook or are we going to give him? But at the end of the day, then they're going to go to the kicker and they say, "You said you were good from here."
Yeah. So McManus is like, he saw what happened to
Blankenship. So today on Pat McAfee, AJ Hawk was like, "Just tell him I'm good from 25 yards." You're like, what's your mark? You know where they kick the extra points from? That's where I'm good from.
Yeah. Don't go any farther back.
Yeah, that's where you got to get me to.
Man.
So I still think you put the ball in Russell's hands there.
Anymore, you kick the field goal and you win it. I mean, you think you can, but maybe
it would have been the second longest field goal in NFL history. I mean, he was kicking a 64-yarder. Yeah. Although I would go backwards and say that when Russ has got the ball at the 2-yard line, 2 possessions in a row, and you can't score, that's probably why you lost the football game.
I mean, that 59-yarder by McPherson, what would that have been good from?
70.
It was so good. Yeah, like man. Shouldn't have lost
Unbelievable.
that game.
Yeah, shouldn't have lost that game. But
Yeah.
if you choose not to play anybody during the preseason,
Yeah. I mean, but I can't fault him for that because that's the worst is losing somebody important in a preseason game. You know,
Yeah.
you almost have to live and die with some rust on
Yeah.
week 1, you know.
well, they knocked the rust off after the first half. They should have won the football game in the second
Yeah.
half. So that can't cry over spilled milk, but they had plenty of opportunities. They
Yeah.
everything that happened in that football game was self-inflicted.
Yeah. Well, now it looks like they're going to face Cooper Rush, right?
Yeah.
So that, you know, you can't lose that game. You can't lose
No.
to Dallas's backup,
No.
you know.
No, although who's the that defense of Dallas, it won't get any easier for them. I mean, Pittsburgh had their ears pinned back, and they looked like they were on a mission from the defensive standpoint.
Yeah.
And these guys on defense for Dallas are for real too.
Yeah.
Who's this rookie?
From
Don't they
Dallas?
have? Yeah, don't they have? Well, they have a really good cornerback, right?
I don't know all their names, but I feel like Pittsburgh's defense was pretty solid and Bengals scored when they needed to.
Yeah. Oh,
know.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, Joe Burrow looked like Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase look like they're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all
Well,
right,
sweet.
brother. Yeah. Have fun on your fumigation tomorrow,
Yep.
and we will see you guys all later. Good week. Good week. Good luck.
Yeah.
This is way harder than those guys think it is. Good luck in week 2 to everyone. Thanks for listening, and we will see you all later.
Bye all.
Peace.
All for